From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Protecting the most vulnerable, what a refreshed push for stiffer caregiver penalties could mean for those who need their care. A crime of opportunity, how a Billings business owner is looking for justice after a stolen wallet led to thousands of dollars gone during the holidays. Plus, what thousands of dollars will do to help women suffering from substance abuse issues. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning.
I have been a very good
on
boy.
this December 23rd, Christmas Eve. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Stiff negotiations are happening.
Just making sure I'm not on the naughty list this year.
This is the diplomat trying to absolve the issue.
There you go.
Miller's having to make a case last minute.
How many folks still do the elf out there? When your kids were younger, did you do the elf on the shelf and stuff? I did. I did with the elf on the shelf with the kids and stuff like that. Yeah, it's so cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
This one's great for being an elf on a shelf. He has weighted legs.
Yeah, got some long legs.
Did you bring these from home?
You do some squats. What?
Did you bring these from home?
No, I actually stole this from the front desk.
Oh, perfect. See, that's how we get our decorations.
So Marla's watching.
Thanks, Marla.
Don't worry, I'll put it back when by the time you get into work this morning. Yeah. So anyway, Christmas Eve.
Happy Christmas Eve, everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, it's not going to be Christmassy with the weather out there for most. We'll see some mountain snow. Really, in the lower elevations, it's mainly a rain event, but it's not completely off the table that Livingston, you may actually get up to an inch of snow for Christmas. It's not likely, but there is a chance. Most of us, just a rain event, or we may not see anything at all. Let's take a step back in time. Yesterday, that sunshine stayed out a lot longer than anticipated. Took a while for the clouds to come in, so it allowed us to warm up a little bit more than what we thought. So 54, nearly 20 degrees above the average. Our low of 25, about 7 degrees above the norm. Was still breezy yesterday, top gust of 30 miles an hour. Still breezy across the region today, especially around the western foothills. But as we get into Thursday, into the weekend, we'll have a better chance of seeing some stronger winds around the Livingston area, and we'll tell you more about that coming up. Been a dry month out there, still digging a hole for the month and for the year. We're not going to make up much ground at all by the end of the year, and we just don't even want to talk about those snow totals. Over 14 inches in the hole so far this season. Right now, we sit at 32 at the airport. Feels like 22. Winds out the southwest at about 15 miles an hour. Temperatures across the area mainly in the 20s and 30s as we wake up. Again, another day we're going to stay above average, 40s and 50s. We'll take another look at that Christmas forecast with that full forecast just around the corner.
All right, Miller, thanks for tracking those details. To all the elves on the shelves out there. Miller's petitioning. All righty, let's get to our first top story this morning. We've got a state senator in Billings pushing for change this morning, aiming to protect some of our most vulnerable from victimization. Right now, there are little to no additional consequences for caregivers who harm their patients. Billings Senator Mike Yakowicz is aiming to push forward an amended law for stiffer penalties. It's all motivated by a case here in Billings where a caregiver beat a patient to death in February. Our Haley Monaco dives deeper into the bill.
A caregiver who worked with residential support services faces deliberate homicide charges after allegedly beating a resident back in February, which later led to his death. Now the organization is pushing for change.
What do you want for Christmas?
The residents inside this group home are gearing up for Christmas.
Broncos phone.
They've asked for Denver Broncos related gifts, and the caregivers are dedicated to making it happen.
It's an honor to be able to do this.
Even when it's not around the holidays, manager Kara Brower makes every day special, something she sees as the responsibility of any caregiver.
I'm extremely protective of my clients. I love them to death, like they were my own family.
But in February of this year, tragedy struck at a residential support services group home in the Heights.
There was a caregiver who is alleged to have done this.
The group homes care for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The man who was killed was 37 years old, had the cognitive function of a young child, was blind, nonverbal, and weighed only 108 pounds.
It was devastating.
According to court documents, the caregiver, 19-year-old Dante Anthony Garriott, became frustrated with the resident and started to kick him, then punched him in the body and face with a closed fist.
How could somebody do that to anybody, let alone someone who is so vulnerable and needs the love and protection of the staff that work in their home?
Currently, there are no additional legal consequences for caregivers beyond what is already imposed on the general public.
In the caregiving business, there There has to be a higher standard.
But working together with Senator Mike Yakowicz, the organization hopes to change that.
The bill that we're intending to bring forward here is to enhance the penalty for someone who hurts or injures someone who is under a paid caregiver. We're not creating a whole new law. It's just an enhancement.
The bill would not apply to acts of negligence, but deliberate intent.
Elderly, child, disabled, we value you. You're 100% a citizen of this state, and we will do our best to take care of you.
Holding caregivers to a higher standard and protecting the vulnerable population.
It's needed now more than ever.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Haley, thanks so much. We'll continue to track progress on that bill, and we're learning more details into a deadly crash involving a semi on Interstate 90. This happened near Laurel on Sunday afternoon. 56-year-old Kevin Wilkerson from Laurel died in that accident. 3 others were injured, with witnesses saying one was life-flighted to a local hospital. According to the Montana Highway Patrol, a 39-year-old semi-truck driver from Washington was traveling westbound near mile marker 432 when he lost control and entered the median for an unknown reason. He then came out of the median and into the eastbound lanes, striking a Chevy Suburban and Volkswagen Rabbit. Wilkerson was the driver of the Suburban and died at the scene, while a 16-year-old passenger suffered an injury. Troopers say the 19-year-old driver of the Suburban and the truck driver were also injured. The investigation remains ongoing as to why the semi lost control. As of this morning, alcohol, drugs, and speed are not listed as factors in the crash. And the owner of a Billings business is looking for the public's help. He claims a thief stole his wallet and phone, then went on a $1,000 shopping spree right before the holidays. Tim Harris owns Second Chance Marketplace, but now, as our Charlie Kleps reports, Harris is turning to the community as he deals with this extra layer of stress.
That crime happened here, right next to this dumpster outside of the Second Chance Marketplace, when a brief moment of carelessness from the owner led to him nearly losing everything.
The rush is certainly on.
It has been the busiest time since we have ever opened.
At the Second Chance Marketplace on Grand Avenue, a store offering merchandise for cheap.
It is returns, undeliverables, 50% returns, 50% new product.
Now bustling with some late Christmas shoppers. That heavy crowd good for business, but also a focal point for owner Tim Harris.
Watching for people who are acting strange.
But on Sunday night, it wasn't the store getting robbed.
Finished the trash, came back out to grab my stuff, and it was gone.
Harris had his wallet and phone stolen in less than 5 minutes while moving garbage into this dumpster outside.
You know, your phone is your lifeline. So once you lose your phone and then your wallet's right behind it, yeah, and nobody saw him walk by.
The suspect spent thousands of dollars at multiple stores around Billings. Harris believes it's the man in this picture, which was captured on surveillance at 406 Glass while making a purchase with his card.
It just sucks that it has to happen like that.
An unfortunate headache for Harris just before the holidays, who since has canceled cards and retrieved his phone and will certainly keep his guard up going forward.
It's been more common than not here in Billings for things just to suddenly disappear.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Charlie, thanks so much. This week, the governor's office announced state trust land revenue generated $92 million for public education in 2024. The Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation manages state trust lands. The revenue is allocated to the Office of Public Instruction for Montana's elementary, middle, and high schools. According to the governor's office, a large portion of this year's funds were the result of multi-year hydroelectric leases. These funds are typically used for everything from technology upgrades to curriculum development and facility improvements. And a Billings nonprofit is receiving a major boost forward this holiday season. The Downtown Billings Rotary Club donated $2,000 to the Hannah House Food Pantry as they aim to help women with substance use issues. Our Matt Carmack has more.
This holiday season, the Downtown Billings Rotary Club donated $2,000 to the Hannah House for women in recovery to get those healthy and nutritious meals they need in order to thrive.
I mean, it is just amazing. People don't realize the little things in life make a huge difference.
Inside of the Hannah House Food Pantry, you'll find a freezer stocked with meat, fruits, and vegetables, and ingredients to make home-cooked meals. It may not seem like a lot to some, but for people like Christy Davidson, it means the absolute world.
The care that we receive is just amazing. You know, and then you think about, you know, out on the streets and how hard it is. So I just feel really blessed that I've got a place, you know, a nice, warm place, safe.
Christy has been staying at the Hannah House for about 2 months as she strives to get back on her feet. Before arriving, she was fighting active addiction and is now thankful for the help in getting a pillow under her head and a warm place to sleep.
They're reunifying with their kids, and they need a safe space to live, a safe space to reunify, a place where they can live in recovery and have the lessons that recovery brings.
Kayla Perdue is the director of the Community Leadership Development Incorporation, the faith-based foundation that manages the Hannah House. Caleb says grants like this will not only help these women with their physical health, but their mental health as well.
First and foremost, in sobriety and any health journey, it's really a foundation of food is so important. If people are getting the right nutrition, then their brains are getting the appropriate nutrition to be able to make healthy decisions.
For Christy and other women living in the house, being able to grab food at any moment is something they are grateful for and don't take for granted.
The food pantry here is unbelievable. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You know, you aren't in need of anything.
Besides purchasing food and ingredients for the house, the grant also allows the residents to have their weekly family dinner, cooked and prepared by the house's director, Jessica Smith.
So we do Thursday night dinners, and I would say that is probably one of the most exciting nights of the week for the women.
A home-cooked meal, which sometimes can be more priceless than any other Christmas present.
We're more like a family here.
I'm just really happy with what I have.
In Billings, Matt Carmack, MTN News.
Mac, thanks so much. Montana leaders are asking healthcare providers to update their information on file. They want to make sure that providers continue to receive Medicaid payments. The Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services says providers have to go through a federally required revalidation process every 5 years to participate in the state Medicaid program. If businesses don't submit updates by the end of this year, their Medicaid payments could be suspended. DPHHS says more than 8,400 providers have already completed the process, but another 1,400 still need to file. This process is not related to the Medicaid redetermination the department went through for patients this year. Providers can check their status on the state's Medicaid provider website. More workers are expected to get a pay raise in 2025, according to one early prediction, but those raises will be smaller. Scripps News national correspondent Dan Grossman dives into the likelihood workers will see pay increases in the coming year.
Living paycheck to paycheck is really, really hard.
Workers across the country are pushing for higher wages. We've seen this in the form of strikes across several major industries.
We're not here to disrupt. We're not here to be rude. We're here to let you know we are here.
The salary budget survey from the company PayScale shows U.S. employers are budgeting for 3.5% raises in 2025. That's down from 4% in 2023 and 3.6% in 2024. Positive news, though, most workers, 85%, are expected to get a pay bump.
One of the interesting things that we saw was that for the most part, the people who got bumps in salary last year did so by staying at their current employer.
Matt Scholes is an analyst with LendingTree, which found the majority of full-time workers who asked for a pay raise in the past year got one. But asking for a raise is no easy feat.
There's some, switch, some trigger that is causing you to say, you know what, I deserve more, and you should follow that.
Career expert Jasmine Escalera says before you approach the topic, be prepared with a list of your contributions.
Even if you're not asking for a raise right in that moment, you should be taking every opportunity when you're in front of your manager to not just talk about tasks, but to talk about contribution.
Escalera also says the most natural time to bring up wages is around a standard review period. She recommends keeping a journal so you're ready to self-promote when the conversation happens. Dan Grossman, Scripps News.
LendingTree's survey found about a quarter of full-time actually had a pay cut this year. Some were laid off while others took a lower paying job. Still, there's optimism with about 65% of people expecting to see a pay raise in the new year.